ब्राह्मणैहि तुलय भूतम अन्यत् पश्यामि विप्राः किम अतः परम तु यस्मिन् नृभिः प्रहुतं श्रद्धया अहम् अश्नामि कामं न तथा अग्निहोत्रे न ब्राह्मणैस्तु लयभूतमन्यत् न ब्राह्मणैस्तु लयभूतमन्यत् पश्यामि विप्राः किमतः परं तु पश्यामि विप्राः किमतः परं तु यस्मिन् नृभिः प्रहुतं श्रद्धायाम् यस्मिन् नृभिः प्रहुतं श्रद्धयाम् अश्नामि कामं न तथाग्निहोत्रे अश्नामि कामं न तथाग्निहोत्रे न ब्राह्मणैस्तु लयभूतमन्यत् पश्यामि विप्राः किमतः परं तु यस्मिन् नृभिः प्रहुतं श्रद्धयाम् अश्नामि कामं न तथाग्निहोत्रे ब्राह्मणैस्तु लयभूतमन्यत् पश्यामि विप्राः किमतः परं तु यस्मिन् नृभिः प्रहुतं श्रद्धयाम् ब्राह्मणैस्तु लयभूतमन्यत् ब्राह्मणैस्तु लयभूतमन्यत् पश्यामि विप्राः किमतः परं तु यस्मिन् नृभिः प्रहुतं श्रद्धयाम् अश्नामि कामं न तथाग्निहोत्रे न ब्राह्मणैस्तु लयभूतमन्यत् पश्यामि विप्राः किमतः परं तु यस्मिन् नृभिः प्रहुतं श्रद्धयाम् Ashnami kamam na tathagnihotre. Na brahmanaistu laya bhutamanyai. Tasmai vipra kimatah paramtu. Yasmin dive prautam shraddhayaham. Ashnāti kāmam na tathāgnihotre. Na brahmanaistu laya bhutamanyai. Pashyāmi viprā kimatah paramtu. Yasmin drive prautam shraddhayaham. Pashyāma viprā kimatah paramtu. Yasmin drive prautam shraddhayam. Ashnāmi kāmam na tathāgnihotre. Pashyāmi viprāha kimatah paramtu. Yasmin nibre prahutam shraddhayam. Ashnāmi kāman na tathāgnihotre. No, not Brahmanaihi, with the Brahmanas. Tulaye, I count as equal. Bhutam, entity. Anya, other. Pashyami, I can see. Vipraha, O assembled Brahmanas. Kim, anything. to the Brahmanas, param, superior, to, certainly, yasmin, through whom, nribihi, by people, prahutam, food offered after ritualistic ceremonies are properly performed. Shraddhaya, with faith and love. Aham, I, ashnami, eat, kamam, with full satisfaction. Na, not, tatha, in that way. Agnihotre, in the fire sacrifice. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace of Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. O respectful Brahmanas, as far as I am concerned, no one is equal or superior to the Brahmanas in this world. I do not find anyone comparable to them. When people know my motive after performing rituals, they offer food to me with faith and love through the mouth of a Brahmana. When food is thus offered unto me, I eat it with full satisfaction. Indeed, I derive more pleasure from food offered in that way than from the food offered in the sacrificial fire. Now repeat, section by section or after? Now repeat the verse. Please repeat. O respectful Brahmanas, as far as I am concerned, no one is equal or superior to the Brahmanas in this world. I do not find anyone comparable to them. When people know my motive, after performing rituals, according to the Vedic principles, they offer food to me with faith and love through the mouth of the Brahmana. When food is thus offered unto me, I eat it with full satisfaction. Indeed, I derive more pleasure from food offered in that way than from the food offered in the sacrificial fire. Purport. According to the Vedic system, after the sacrificial ceremony, the Brahmanas are invited to eat the remnants of the offered food. When the Brahmanas eat the food, it is to be considered directly eaten by the Supreme Lord. Thus, no one can be compared to qualified Brahmanas. The perfection of evolution is to be situated on the Brahminical platform. Any civilization not based on Brahminical culture or guided by Brahmanas is certainly a condemned civilization. Presently, human civilization is based on sense gratification, and consequently more and more people are becoming addicted to different types of things. No one respects Brahminical culture. Demoniac civilization is attached to ugra karma, horrible activities, and big industries are created to satisfy unfathomable lusty desires. Consequently, the people are greatly harassed by governmental taxation. The people are irreligious and do not perform the sacrifices recommended in Bhagavad Gita. Yagyai bhavati bharjanya 3:14. By the performance of sacrifice, clouds form and rain falls. Due to sufficient rainfall, there is sufficient production of food. Guided by the Brahmanas, society should follow the principles of Bhagavad Gita. Then people will become very happy. Annat bhavanti bhutani. When animals and men are sufficiently fed with grains, they become stronger, their hearts become tranquil, and their brains peaceful. They can then advance in spiritual life, life's ultimate destination. Om Jnanati Mirandasya Dhananjala Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swam Rupa Kadamaham Dadati Svapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guruha Shri Yuta Kamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunantham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitanscha Ek Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dīnabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Takta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamahami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhischa Kripa Sindhubhya Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo 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 Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Sarasvati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschachari Shatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. O respectable Brahmanas, as far as I am concerned, no one is equal or superior to the Brahmanas in this world. I do not find anyone comparable to them. When people know my motive, after performing rituals according to the Vedic principles, they offer food to me with faith and love through the mouth of a Brahmana. When food is dāsa offered unto me, I eat it with full satisfaction. Indeed, I derive more pleasure from food offered in that way than from the food offered in the sacrificial fire. Okay. So here we have Lord Rishabhadev, who has made a distinction. I believe in the previous verse, it was shown the gradation of living entity. So yesterday's class. So beings possessing living force, vegetables, grass, trees and plants are superior to dull matter, like stone and earth. Superior to non-moving plants and vegetables are worms and snakes. So this is the gradation, the evolutionary process, which Darwin stole from Vedic literature. So here we see there's many different types of living entities, and these bodies are not evolving. The bodies are always there. They are created in the beginning of the universe. Every single type of body emerges from the great sages, right? Which comes from the daughter of Maharaj Daksha. This is described here. Canto 7, chapter 15, text 18. Okay. It is said, on all the planets within this universe, the varieties of living entities, moving and non-moving, including the demigods, demons and human beings, were all generated from the daughters of Maharaj Daksha. I have now described them and their different dynasties. So, all living entities were generated from humans, in human form. Not that it evolved. So, these different types of living entity are all generated from demigods. The daughter of Maharaj Daksha. So birds, snakes, so on, they all come from originally the human form of life. And the first human being, or human form, is Lord Brahma. So Lord Brahma is the first living entity within this universe. So what is the question of going from lower forms of life to higher forms of life? It is the opposite, actually. The highest form of life, material form of life, is Lord Brahma. And from him descends all other species of life. So higher than worms and snakes, superior to worms and snakes are animals that have developed intelligence. Superior to animals are human beings, and superior to human beings are ghosts, because they have no material bodies. So yes, ghosts are considered higher because they are more powerful. They are not restricted as much as us with gross bodies. Srila Prabhupada says that they move at the speed of the mind. So wherever they wish to go, they can go. Superior to ghosts are the Gandharvas, and superior to them are the Siddhas. Superior to the Siddhas are Kinnaras, and superior to them are the Asuras. Superior to the Asuras are the demigods. And of the demigods, Indra, the king of heaven, is supreme. Superior to Indra are the direct sons of Lord Brahma, sons like King Daksha. And superior among Brahma's sons is Lord Shiva. Since Lord Shiva is the son of Lord Brahma, Brahma is considered superior. But Brahma is also subordinate to me, Supreme Personality of Godhead, because I am inclined to the Brahmanas, and the Brahmanas are the best of all. So Vedic culture is very discriminatory when it comes to high and low, which is really what we're seeing modern day culture is going against. What is this LGBTQ plus? A plus? Okay. So now they want to make everything equal. Black Lives Matter. So of course we're not going to discriminate saying black people, white people, all of this. Prabhupada clearly says that as far as Krishna consciousness is concerned, everyone is welcome. But there's different types of material bodies. Therefore, they must be higher and lower. We must discriminate. Even they do, actually. They pass resolutions, they open schools and so on. That means they have discrimination. Something is higher, something is lower. Why do you open schools unless you have this belief that something is better and something is lower? So they too have that. That something is good, something is bad. But it is based upon their own calculation. Whereas we base our high and low according to Shastra. Even Lord Kapila Dev made this discrimination in the 29th, Canto 3, chapter 29. So Lord Kapila does discrimination around verse starts at 28. Okay, so this is 329-28. Living entities are superior to inanimate objects, O Blessed Mother, and among them living entities who display life symptoms are better. Animals with developed consciousness are better than them, and better still are those who have developed sense perception. Among the living entities who have developed sense perception, those who have developed the sense of taste are better than those who have developed only the sense of touch. So there's some animals that do not have any sense of taste. Better than them are those who have developed the sense of smell. So some animals don't have sense of smells. And better still are those who have developed the sense of hearing. Better than those living entities who can perceive sound are those who can distinguish between one form and another. Better than them are those who have developed upper and lower sets of teeth. And better still are those who have many legs. Better than them are the quadrupeds. And better still are the human beings. Among human beings, the society which is divided according to quality and work is best. And in that society, the intelligent men who are designated as Brahmanas are best. Among the Brahmanas, one who has studied the Vedas is the best. And among the Brahmanas who have studied the Vedas, one who knows the actual purport of the Veda is best. So in today's verse, we finish by saying that the Brahmanas are the best because the Lord is inclined to them. But here there's further classification of Brahmanas. So which one is better than the other? So in modern education, we've all been to school, they're teaching us that we're all equal. This goes, men and women are equal, worker and a businessman is equal, so on. So this is all based on atheism, because that means that there's no absolute truth. If there's an absolute truth, there's a direction. If there's a direction, then there must be high and low. You cannot avoid discrimination. So we are not supporting this classless society philosophy. It's not real. They're trying to do that. The Shudra movement, this communism, is the movement of the Shudra, the envious. They do not want anybody to be higher than them. So therefore everybody equal. That means Shudra. So we can see though that this is all artificial and nobody agrees to that. For example, my wife's father, he always criticizes the Communist Party. Of course, he doesn't do that in public, but he doesn't like it. And this is the position of most Chinese people actually, or any country that follows communism. They actually follow out of a formality, but they do not believe in it. The Shudras, the workers, they still want their own property. They want to own land, they want to buy their houses. They don't accept that everything should belong to the government and that everybody is equal. So, in China, the way that they clean the streets is that they have sweepers. I don't know about Singapore. In Canada, they have those machines, you know, that you just drive and there's the... But in China, to create jobs, they keep the system of sweepers. So sweepers are there. So, but the communist philosophy is that everybody is equal. Now, how does that benefit the sweeper? So, to not accept gradation of high and low is atheism. And that was spoken by Prithu Maharaj, that we see that there are different forms of life. So who has made this arrangement? There must be someone who's making this arrangement. They always avoid the fact that consciousness is within a particular body. They always analyze everything according to matter. They will say someone is brown, you know, has a browner skin because of pigmentation and this and that. Yes, but why is the consciousness within that particular body and not within the other one? Why am I experiencing a black body or a white body? That they cannot explain, that why the specific consciousness, the living entity, is living this existence of having a black body or a white body or an Indian body. So they can only explain from the point of view of matter. But they cannot explain why the living entity is forced to accept a specific position. So, in today's verse it is said that the Lord eats through the mouth of the Brahmanas, and that He is very satisfied by this, more than by the food offered in the sacrificial fire. Now we have learned that, it is in the purport. So why is the Lord more satisfied in this way? Actually, it's because He keeps association with His devotees. When a pure devotee like Srila Prabhupada eats, the Lord eats with him alongside. So therefore, to offer food, bhoga, to the pure devotee means offering food to Krishna, because Krishna will be eating with him. But he prefers that because he keeps association with his devotees. So this higher and lower simply means who is pleasing more Krishna, that's all. So Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, Sudra are discriminated in terms actually of who is more Krishna conscious. So the Brahmana is more Krishna conscious than the Kshatriya. The Kshatriya is more Krishna conscious than the Vaishya, and so on. It is all about who is getting near to the Shuddha Sattva platform. So the mode of goodness is praised in Vedic literature not for its independent existence, but because it is the bridge to spiritual life. By cultivating the mode of goodness, one can become a Vaishnava. So it is only for that purpose that the mode of goodness is being glorified in Vedic culture. So it is said that one society who divides according to Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Sudra is superior to the society who does not accept those divisions. So in the fourth canto, chapter 29, there's a verse that shows that this modern society is condemned. So the 429 is actually a 1a and 1b, I believe. Yeah, 1a, 1b. Yeah, this one. So this is 429, 1a and 2a. A desire to maintain body, wife and children is also observed in animal society. So this is a fact that it's not because sometimes they say like that, the family Jai Shishira sometimes the people in general, they will think that to maintain one's family, to be a good family man, to be a good husband, is the goal of life. They say you have to be thinking of your family and so on. But this is also observed in animal society. Just like birds, you might know that pigeons have got a very high rate of death at birth. I don't know how many percent, but most of pigeons' babies die. There's only a few that survive. And you see that the parents, I was watching a documentary, pigeon parents, how much they endeavor to keep the children alive. Sometimes the baby pigeon will have some breathing problem, and the father will actually do, yes, literally, he will put his weight on the baby and try to save it. So we can see that they're also concerned. They also use the intelligence to try to save the lives of their children. They endeavor greatly. Every day we see the birds, how they're working hard, working for the worms and so on. And they go back, and feed their children. So there are also people who have got attachment for their family member, who have feelings. They cry. They cry sometimes. Even some of them have tears. We see that sometimes cows, they shed tears. So they have these feelings. The animals have full intelligence to manage such affairs. It's a fact. In fact, they're much more expert than us. For example, a she pig, can beget, 12 at the time, and she's capable of handling, whereas our human mothers are struggling with 2, 3 children. But the piglets, 12 at the time, so the mother is equipped to take care. So they are actually more expert than us in reproduction, because they can reproduce faster at a higher rate. Their pregnancy is much shorter. The babies grow up much faster. And we can see that they have no difficulty in doing these things. They are doing it. They have for example, in China, there's something that is happening all over the country. There are half wild cats, if you want to say. So in China, they have this huge habitation complex where you have like dozens and dozens of towers of 30 plus stories. So this is how it is constructed. So when they build these things, it takes, it's sometimes 1 kilometer large, it's huge habitat, and you get like thousands and thousands of people that live in there. And there's walls all over, and there's gates. So there's the guards, there's the people, and within is the community. And in the middle, you have the parks, you have swimming pools, things like that. So it's kind of protected, and the children are playing there. So that's the way they do in China. So in the beginning, when they start to build, they bring cats there, so that the rats don't come and start to reproduce, and then later on you have rat problems. So they bring cats. So those cats remain there. Even after the whole construction is finished, the cats live there in the garden. And they have children and they reproduce. And some gardens you have like hundreds of cats. Like the garden that we used to be before, that was where the temple used to be. Every day you would go out and there would be so many cats. And they just live there and they feed off of the garbage, and sometimes they catch rats and things like that. And sometimes people become compassionate upon them and they feed them. So you can actually see their life, like when when we used to be at that garden that had hundreds of cats, we started to know them. You know, this, oh, she got pregnant, and oh, this is the guy. We started to know their even so-called love stories and all, you know, the alpha male and where he's living and so on. So they have got their own societies too. They have got their friends, they have got their pains and pleasures. You know, one time we saw like a dead baby cat, the mother could not take care properly. So they also have everything we have. They have got fights among themselves. They have got, one time I saw there was this male cat, and I knew that this male cat was the father of some kittens. So I knew that this was his mate. So this male cat was courting another she-cat. And then his, the other she-cat that he had female with was coming. So as soon as the male cat turned around and saw his previous mate, immediately he jumped and he went away, you know. So he has, the mentality is also there, oh, she caught me, you know, and I'm going away. So they are much more personal than what we might think. They are talking, Prabhupada says, they have got their language, conversations, so many, it's complete. So here, Lord Kapila is saying, if a human being is simply advanced in this respect, what is the difference between him and an animal? So this is a fact. So most people now are two-legged animals. Even, you know, us, ourselves, when we were not trying to become Krishna conscious, we have an animalistic lifestyle. Eating, sleeping, mating, defending. You know. So one should be, here it said, one should be very careful to understand that this human life is attained after many, many births in the evolutionary process. A learned man who gives up the bodily conception of life, both gross and subtle, will, by the enlightenment of spiritual knowledge, become a prominent individual spirit soul, as the Supreme Lord is also. So that means to be self-realized. Because at the moment we are Jiva Bhuta, associating ourselves with the material body, thinking that I am male, I'm female, I'm Hindu, I'm Muslim. But the Brahma Bhuta stage means that one understands that he is a spiritual being and that he has nothing to do with all these things. He's actually free from all the so-called material duties that he has. He is not bound by any of them. So that is the Brahma Bhuta platform. And this is the goal of spiritual knowledge, to come beyond this bodily conception of life. Then it continues saying, if a living entity is developed in Krishna consciousness and is merciful to others, and if his spiritual knowledge of self-realization is perfect, he will immediately attain liberation from the bondage of material existence. So now, higher than a Brahmana, higher than one who is understanding himself to be spiritual, here it is said that merciful to others. He is higher, the one who becomes merciful to others. So it is a symptom of spiritual advancement to be trying to help others and not simply concerned with one's own spiritual life. And in the purport, Srila Prabhupada says, in this verse, the word Daya Jivashu, meaning mercy to other living entities, indicate that the living entity must be merciful to other living entities if he wishes to make progress in self-realization. So here it is clear that without trying to bestow mercy upon others, one cannot advance spiritually. This means he must preach this knowledge after perfecting himself and understanding his own position as an eternal servant of Krishna. Preaching this is showing real mercy to living entities. So, to understand oneself as being Krishna Das and to try to convince others of this position is called mercifulness. Just like Jagannath Rath Yatra just passed, and we had the wonderful chance to be doing the book distribution service. So it had been such a long time that actually I had not distributed books. It felt so nice because in China it's very tough to do this directly. And again, it revived this feeling of, how can I describe it? Complete sincerity. That when you meet someone who's not Krishna conscious, to directly try to preach to him and awake him. That is complete sincerity. Whereas when you meet someone and you're not trying to speak this knowledge, there's insincerity involved. You're keeping sort of the material way of relationship with him. So I could feel it even when I was going around the Rath Yatra festival and meeting other persons and talking to them. Some people were coming and, oh, nice Rath Yatra and so on. I could feel the distinction between speaking to them and then going back to the book table and speaking to the people there. Speaking to the people there at the book table is full truthfulness. That is real spiritual life, that I am convinced of this and I want to convince the other. Whereas if I just go along and I know that this person is not Krishna conscious, I know that this person is suffering, and I'm playing the game of having some material conversations with them, that is not true mercy. That is not real spiritual life, actually. Prabhupada says, other types of humanitarian work may be temporarily beneficial for the body. But because the living entity is spirit soul, ultimately one can show him real mercy only by revealing knowledge of his spiritual existence. As Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Jivara Svarupa Haya Krishna, Krishnera Nitya dāsa. Every living entity is constitutionally a servant of Krishna. One should know this fact perfectly and should preach it to the mass of people. Okay, this is very important, this sentence here. If one realizes that he is an eternal servant of Krishna but does not preach, his realization is imperfect. In other words, if we don't try to also help other living entity realizing their constitutional position, we are not actually understanding ourselves as being servant of Krishna. So that is the evolutionary process. If we come to that point of wanting to help others, understanding them to be servant of Krishna, that is the topmost. Of course, there's higher than this, because the Madhyamadikari is the preacher. Even higher than him is the Uttamadikari. But the Madhyamadikari has reached his perfectional state of engagement, because he's in line with the spiritual master in Krishna, Vyavasyatmika Buddhi, Ekeha Kurunandana. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur therefore sings, Dushtamana, Tumi Kisera Vaishnava, Pratishtharata Nirjanera Ghare, Tava Harinama Kavala Kaitava. My dear mind, what kind of Vaishnava are you? Simply for false prestige and material reputation, you're chanting the Hare Krishna mantra in a solitary place. So recently, we came in touch with someone who claims to be chanting 64 rounds. He lives in Vrindavan, and he chants 64 rounds. And we learned about his 64 rounds chanting very fast from him. So, somehow or other, he wanted us to know that he's chanting 64 rounds. And he says that this is his seva. He says that he knows nothing else. He's so fallen that he cannot do anything else. So he's speaking as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has done, that my Guru Maharaj saw me full number one, therefore I chant Hare Krishna. So actually this is not the qualification of someone who is spiritually advanced. That is imitation. We are not at that stage yet as to retire to Vrindavan and only chant. This so-called chanting is offensive. To please the pure devotee is the sign of spiritual advancement. And Prabhupada wants us to preach. So one who becomes dedicated, who dedicates his life for this mission, he is seen to be advanced. And amongst them, the one who is making the most devotees of Lord Krishna is seen to be the most advanced. In this way, people who do not preach are criticized. There are many Vaishnavas in Vrindavan who do not like preaching. They chiefly try to imitate Haridas Thakur. The actual result of their so-called chanting in a secluded place, however, is that they sleep and think of women and money. Similarly, one who simply engages in temple worship but does not see the interest of the mass of people or cannot recognize devotees is called a Kanishtadikari. So the neophyte devotee cannot recognize a devotee. That is one of the big problems in our movement, is that they keep devotees on the Kanishta platform, and therefore they are easily fooled. Anyone with a tilak and a kantimala is accepted as a devotee. But the Madhyamadikari discriminates who is a devotee and who is a sahajya according to Shastra, and therefore he sees properly. Therefore, the real discriminatory power of a Madhyama-adhikari is that he accepts Shastra, he has faith. So this is it. There is a different gradation, and the Lord likes the Brahmanas best, and among the Brahmanas, one who is preaching is the best. So to become preacher is the epitome of the evolutionary process, starting all the way from living entity who are aquatics and so on. So if we want to be doing quick spiritual advancement, we should be surrendering to this desire of the pure devotee. We have come from this form of life. It's hard to realize, but we should have faith that before we were in one of those types of bodies, we had absolutely no chance to understand anything about Krishna consciousness. Now we are very fortunate. We have got the Association of Devotees, we have got Srila Prabhupada, we have got books, we have got beautiful deities. So we have to be very serious. Because if we take it easy again, then we will have to come back. We won't be finishing the business in this one life. And especially those who are not initiated. It is said in Madhya Lila 15.108 in the purport that one who is not properly initiated can again go back into the animal kingdom. So initiation is stressed by Srila Prabhupada, and today actually we will be having an initiation ceremony, or at least a fire sacrifice that was not performed then. Second initiation ceremony for Sachi Mataji and Shyamalila Mataji, and I do not know if anybody will be joining. So it will be performed later on in the afternoon, so this is very important. It is actually, again, surrendering further, because this whole evolutionary process means get it nearer to Krishna. And this Vedic initiation ceremony is called Upayana. Upayana means coming closer. Upanaya, right? Yeah. Coming closer to the spiritual master, which means coming closer to the lotus feet of the Lord. So here is one who should take initiation. He has to continue the evolutionary process. Up the seed. So okay, I think we can stop here. Grataraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Janitai Gopen. So, Vishwamba Prabhu is saying 1084 20. Therefore, Supreme Brahman, you honor the members of the Brahminical community, for they are the perfect agents by which one can realize you through the evidence of the Vedas. For that very reason, you are the foremost worshipper of the Brahmanas. Very nice verse, and it shows that this is it. This is why Brahmanas are dear to the Lord, because we can approach the Lord through the Brahmanas. The Brahmanas are actually, in the Vedas it is said the Brahmana is the mouth of the Lord. In other words, they carry the message of Krishna. Krishna's message is, come back to me. Therefore, the Brahmana's business is to tell others that go back to Krishna. And because they are the agents, here they nicely said, you want to remember, for they are the perfect agents. An agent means, he's carrying my mission. Just like the CIA agents, they are carrying the desire of the government, or in a particular field, by which one can realize you through the evidence of the Vedas. So, Jnanam Vijnanam Ashtikam. One bona fide Brahmana is going to be learned in the Vedas, and is going to practically apply those injunctions in his life. So therefore, one who so-called preach, but does not preach according to Shastra, how can he be a Brahmana? He's not, even though he might appear to be so. And this is the big distinction that is happening in our movement now. We see that there are many people who take to the so-called preaching field without themselves having faith in Shastra. So how can they be Brahmana? Therefore their preaching will be useless. Today I believe in the Nectar of Devotion, Prahlad Prabhu is reading, speaking about iron turned into gold, right? So this can be done by a pure devotee of the Lord. The bona fide acharya can turn the iron like men into a gold-like man, which is a Brahmana, Vaishnava. So, because some people in our movement are twisting all the words and the injunctions of Srila Prabhupada, that pure process of being able to purify one has been corrupted. And therefore, those who take to this changed process are not capable of becoming golden. They cannot become Brahmanas. And that's the whole issue here, is that they are kept with the same nature that they used to have. Although the chanting of Hare Krishna is there, yes, there's some change, obviously they are devotees, they are higher than normal karmis, but because they are swimming in a place where so many offenses are being committed, they cannot fully wash themselves. They cannot come to the platform of being a bona fide Brahmana Vaishnava and see things through Shastra. And that is a symptom of the heart being purified, is that one gets faith in Shastra. And he starts to see everything in this way. So that is Madhyamadikari platform. So very nice verse, thank you very much. Antaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Prabhupada ki jai, Jai Nitāi Gaur.